welcome back to Whitt Acres. Today is March 6th and I'm Cody. You can see Echo's outside with the other pups. Not enough room in the greenhouse for all the dogs. I'm in here today just to check on the seedlings, see how they're doing, maybe mist them, keep them wet. And then I'm going to be planting some more Danish ballhead cabbage. Have that right here. Yesterday I planted some more purple sprouting broccoli, Waltham 29 broccoli, market cabbage, Copenhagen market cabbage, and some snowball cauliflower. And the reason I planted those is because my original Brassica tray looks like it might be struggling a little bit. And I definitely lost most of the Danish ballhead cabbage and at least half of the Copenhagen cabbage. I think I might have planted them in too small of cells. This is a 72 cell tray. So this time I went with bigger deep cells, 6-packs, and hopefully they'll give more room to these brassicas that seem to be growing pretty fast. Now real quick, I just wanted to show you guys this sprayer. There's a copper tip on there to adjust the stream. I got this at Dollar General for $1. So you just want to fill it up with water, give it a few pumps, adjust your spray nozzle. And then for these seedlings, I've just been coming up here and spraying these, keeping them moist a couple times a day. This is the Basil Tray here, and when it's full you might have to keep pumping this up. Higher the water level, the shorter the time it stays pumped. So you can lock it in and just keep these nice and moist with a fine spray. This tray is my seedling cell tomatoes, and the back tray there are pretty much all basil, some dill, and sage we planted. It does look like the basil's starting to pop up. I'll zoom in there in a second. And definitely the yellow pear tomatoes are popping up. I'll shut that off. Bring you in close here. You see those purple sprouts there? It's hard to see. That's the basil coming up. There's some. Definitely slow to start. This yellow pear is coming up now. And that's definitely the first tomato. And then that back tray of lettuce, there's some dark opal basil popping up. And I see the cinnamon basils starting to sprout, and so is the blue spice. And I don't see any of the lettuce leaf or the spice globe basil yet. Maybe over here to the flower tray we started of calendula, penstemon. I see one right there. And then all the snapdragons, a lot of those are starting to pop up. Chives in the back. These are the potato cucumbers that I already up potted into these 3x3 square pots. They seem to be doing good. The chives. And then down here was the jelly melon. I up potted those and they're all doing fairly well. Probably could use some water. It's about 63 degrees in here right now. I got these cylinders, automatic window openers. So when it heats up in here, they start opening on their own. It's a really nice feature. I'm definitely glad I have it this year. Really just, it's taking some time to get used to them and see what tightness, because you got to screw them in to adjust the heat level in here where it starts to open. And I'm really just trying to figure out how many times to turn these. to keep a steady temperature in here. Alright, so I'm gonna get this Danish ballhead cabbage planted. It's another row or another set backup plants. I got my potting soil right here already sifted and moistened. What I like to do is just throw my tray in the bucket, throw some handfuls on top, pack it in, finger pack it. I pack these real tight because I don't want any club root, and they say with cabbages and brassicas you really want a nice firm soil, firm packed in soil. That loose soil inhibits or definitely helps the club roots take hold whenever they have air pockets in there. So I'll keep it nice and packed, get as much medium in there as I can. It's springy, it's got a lot of peat moss in it, so whenever I pack it down it just springs back up. It's not like it's compacted clay. Alright, once that's done, bring it up here to my table and let me set the camera up. Okay, here we are, nice and packed in. I'm gonna take my trusty number 2 pencil. I'm gonna score a drill. Instead of making a little hole, I'm gonna actually do like a gash, a little 1/2 inch gash there in the soil. So whenever I drop these seeds in, because I'm gonna multi-sow, I don't really drop ever one seed in. I like my chances of germination. I need at least 2 seeds in there. So when I drop them in there, they don't actually stand on top of each other. They have a little bit of space to get started on their own. So I'm going to drop these Danish ballhead cabbages in about, sorry, I had to check on the puppies. So these will be about 1/4 inch down. Just enough to, twice as thick as the seed is. Put these extras back in there. I sowed 2 per cell. And then I'm just going to backfill, press down. And there should be plenty enough moisture in this soil to get these seeds started. I won't have to put these in any bottom feeder. But what I will do is just take my mister, get a nice wet layer there so it doesn't just dry off with the fan blowing in here. Now, last thing you want to do, get your plant tag and label. This is Danish cabbage, and then on the back of the tag I'll put March 6th. Cabbage, March 6th. So I know when I sowed it. Slide that in there. Done deal. So I'll take that and put it on the tray with the rest. Put it on the rack with the other ones. Now that's all I'm sowing today. I have a little bit of soil left, so instead of just letting this dry out, I'm going to take a piece of plastic, put it in there, cover my soil up, and then that way when I come in here next time to water or to start some seeds, that'll be ready to go and I won't have to do anything. Okay, so I noticed my brassicas were pretty dry, so I put some water in there, bottom water those ones, and then my up pots were getting a little dry, so what I did was put a humidity dome down through the little square pots inside, and then I filled it with about 1/4 inch, 3/8 of water. And what's floating around in there is some of Trifecta Plus in my gardener mix, just to give them something to feed on. I'll mix that up and let them get a drink today. Sun's starting to come out and there's things to do outside. Let's go. Coming out the door, let's see who's waiting on me. Hey, Bubba. You waiting on me, bub? Puppy, you're waiting too. Where's the little girl? Bob. Where's your sister, bub? There she is. Alright, we got all the puppies. So we are in zone 6A here, western Pennsylvania. And it's a nice sunny day, but it's only about 33 degrees. So the ground's still frozen. Can't plant anything. And I have all my seeds started already. So what's there to do in March? So I started bringing out some wood chips for the fruit bed or food forest. I haven't really settled on a name here yet. And I've just been layering wood chips around everything I already have planted. There's a palm tree here. Got berry bushes along the edge there. And I need some more, but I got tired. Got 2 loads over here around all the blueberries and the blackberry. And then I got a load over here, or 2 loads I put down around the azaleas, which aren't really for food, but they're pretty and they bring in the pollinators early in the spring. So you got a row of hedge of azaleas there up to the nectarine tree. Just putting down wood chips because it needs done and I don't have anything to plant yet, so might as well use the time while I got it. Here's my Dahlia bed. Hopefully these all come up. I usually dig up the dahlias and store them in the garage, dry them out, store them in the garage until spring whenever the soil's workable again. But I have so many dahlias I actually wanted to just leave them in the ground. I put an extra thick layer of mulch over top of them, so I'm really hoping those survive this winter. I put some more chips down around the pergola here. There's some more dahlias where you see those green flags. I got these little trees in the back, or the Fuji green giants. They just got put in last year. I got some more dahlias along this side of the pergola. Can't really tell. Over here on the front right leg of the pergola, I have a silver lace vine, which runs up this Durwall. Here's a Durwall channel. You can get that at your hardware store or wherever. Sorry, I just fell in a hole. Yeah, bub, fell in that hole. But we're putting in another carport here, and that's one of the anchoring holes for the concrete pad. I just tripped in it on this camera. Anyway, this is one of my old birdhouse gourds from last year, all sun beaten. On this leg, I have a honeysuckle vine, which I'm really surprised it stayed green all winter. Didn't expect it to. I put all these vines in on the front of this, the flowering vines, I think the week before 4th of July last year, so they got in kind of late in our season. I had an annual purple bean vine on this one last year. In front of these 2 posts are Myrtle's Folly dinner plate dahlia, which I didn't do too well last year, just 1 bloom, but they've been in the ground all winter, so hopefully they've been setting down a strong root base. Over on this last leg, I have a flowering vine of red trumpet. It's a red trumpet vine. It did give me some blooms last year, but like I said, it got it put in late in the season. Around the whole outside of the pergola, I'll be filling in with gourds, and this whole cage up here will be filled with gourds. So I haven't went over it before, but me and my dad built this pergola last year out of all 4x4s, 4x6, 2x6, 2x8, 2x10s. Very sturdy pergola. And then I went and stained it with a nice cedar stain, give it the color. Wrapped it around with some 4x8 sheets of lattice and ran rebar, weaved rebar in through the lattice to give it some more rigidity. I plant the gourds all along the outside, and then I'll weave them up through the lattice as they grow. Up on the top, to hold all the gourds, I cut and put in puzzle pieced in some cattle panel, which is very strong, because those gourds, whenever they're growing, they really put on some weight. I mainly just grow these gourds for decoration and obviously to make some birdhouses. But this pergola looks really good in the summer. I might even put this as the old last year's picture of the pergola as a thumbnail, and you'll be able to see how good it can look. But I got some wood chips spread here. It looks pretty pitiful actually, but just getting started, doing some things while it's still cold out to kind of expedite my spring. And in the fruit bed, I really need to find some space, because I already have, I mean, it looks pretty barren, but I already have it pretty much planned out for all the mainstay crops like strawberries, blueberries, blackberries, raspberries, black raspberries, all the mainstays. But I do want to get a lot of the unique berries in there, and we actually just picked some up, so let's go see those. Before we head in and see the fruit bushes we got, I wanted to show you the gourds and decoration pumpkins, how they've been holding up. This pumpkin and this pumpkin, it's getting soft now, but I've been surprised how long these things lasted over all winter. Like, that's still a solid pumpkin. This gourd's still solid. Getting some mold growth on there, but that's just how they dry out. A lot of these are pretty much ready to go, but they lasted well into Easter, or almost into Easter here. Some of these starting to look a little ragged, but I'm surprised how long they've lasted. Like, that's still a hard pumpkin. I gotta get seeds out of this one. Yeah, I gotta get seeds out of some of these before I throw them in the compost. Here's one of my apple gourds. Still got some good coloring on there. And a small bushel gourd behind it. Okay, so this is my gardening rack where I store things before the season. First up, we just got a hardy kiwi. Isaiah hardy kiwi. And this thing's actually pretty cool. It doesn't have fuzz on it like most kiwis do. This is actually like a giant grape, they say. You can just pop it straight in your mouth without peeling it. It's an actual tree though, so it'll be about 20-25 feet, zone 4 to 8, spacing 8 feet. I'm really excited to try this one. The other one we just got is a white Carolina pine berry. I wasn't expecting to get this, so I might have to actually build another strawberry bed to contain this one, but I'm excited about that. Another one is the Aronia Berry. Now, I've heard some good things and I've heard some bad things about this. Some people say it needs to be processed pretty heavily into a jam or a jelly to be edible, but I like to try new things, and even if someone says it's not good, I still want to try it for myself. Here's my strawberries I got from Bonnie last year. Doesn't really say what kind of strawberry it is. Oh, it's an everbearing. Okay. So this is what's going in my strawberry bed. And I grew this last year in this pot. But all the runners that shot out of the pot, I trained into these trays. So these trays have all the sister runners, daughter runners, whatever you want to call them, in them. And I'll be pulling these crowns out as soon as the ground gets workable. I'll pull them out and be putting them in the strawberry bed so they can grow and spread out even more. Alright, that's all we got going on today. If you'd like to see those bushes planted, stick around. If you'd like to see everything coming alive on the pergola this year. Go ahead and subscribe down below and follow along so we can grow this garden together. I'm Cody, that's Echo, and we're gardening from home. We'll see you on the next one.